We have breaking news right now. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has just declared war on American citizens and American cities in a speech to senior Pentagon leaders. Folks, I cannot overstate how important and serious this moment is. Today, Donald Trump addressed Pentagon senior leadership from across the globe in Quantico, Virginia. And his speech highlighted how the real threat, according to him, is within the United States of America, openly declaring war on American cities across the country, openly declaring war on what he perceives as domestic threats from American citizens. The president of the United States is actively talking about using the United States military against American citizens. Today, during the speech, Donald Trump declared war on Americans, saying, quote, "Our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic." That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. We also have domestic. Watch this.
But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all used the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people.
Moment. Donald Trump is actively highlighting how the real enemy, according to him, is within the United States of America, not abroad, not enemies like China or Russia, but rather enemies within the United States of America. And he told the generals that America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in any ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. I want you to check this moment out.
That's what it is. Only in recent decades did politicians somehow come to believe that our job is to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly.
Now, Trump is actively talking about how people within the United States of America are the problem, not foreign enemies. And he went on to say that essentially Democrat-run cities, the ones that are run by, quote, the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to, quote, straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Watch this.
The ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security.
He is actively talking about how there is a war within the United States of America and how the people in the room, the top military leaders, the generals, the admirals, how they're going to be the ones responsible for fighting this war. And folks, and I think what to me as a reporter, the most disturbing part of the speech, truthfully, was when he said that he told Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, that he should use that some of these cities as training grounds for the United States military. He said, quote, "I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military." because we're going into Chicago very soon. Watch this moment.
Very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family. He becomes governor. He's got money. Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any.
Trump is actively advocating for the use of the United States military on American soil. He's actively advocating for the use of the United States military against American citizens, against who he believes are, quote, the enemy from within. Now, he's used that language a lot of the time on the campaign trail to describe political opponents here in the United States of America. But this is very different because he's not in a room of political people. This is not a campaign rally. He's in a room full of top generals, top career military officials who serve at the pleasure of the president. He is the commander in chief. But all of these military leaders swore an oath to not to Donald Trump, but rather to the United States Constitution, to the United States country, not to one man, not to one president. And so many of them are going to be faced with a critical decision in the coming days, weeks, and months. As the United States Pentagon turns to a more focusing on American citizens and these perceived threats that American citizens cause, rather than threats from adversaries overseas, what will these military leaders do? Will they stand up and say that no, enough is enough, that we will not be okay with this, that we will not comply? Or will they just roll over and will they comply? And will the United States military be used against American citizens for how long and where? And right now, this rallying cry coming from the President of the United States to his top generals, well, it is a very, very dark time in American history. And just take a minute and imagine if any other president, Republican or Democrat, did this. What would the media say? The media would say that it is wrong. The media would say that this is a departure from all regular norms. And in this moment, we need media that will say that will call it out for what it is. And I'm not afraid to do it. So please, as always, consider subscribing to support my work. Like, comment, share this video because people need to see what's happening in these United States of America. And folks, I'll be back soon.